The past few months, I've been dealing with some severe shoulder pain. While I don't know what caused it for sure, I do know that reaching out to grab my sticks or mouse and keyboard for hours at a time is not helping. So today we're going to work on the ergonomics of my desk setup and look at ways that we can make this more comfortable and less pain-inducing for myself so that I can continue making content and enjoying the things I like. First off, we see that with the sticks in their current position, I have to reach out in front of me quite a bit. Thankfully, when the good folks at Monster Tech built this for me, they included some adjustability. We're going to take it a bit further than was intended, but the result should bring my arms more in line with my torso to reduce stress on my shoulder. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to adjust this mount and this mount to raise this vertical section up to allow us to put the horizontal section over the top here, allowing the joysticks to be moved further back. On the bottom, we adjust it on the chair side. On the top, we adjust it here. Now, the tricky part is probably that this is not a twist nut, which means that I'll have to disassemble this a little more. So I'm going to do that off camera and come back once I've got one side done to show the difference. Okay, so now we can see the new configuration of the mechanism. The joystick is held much further back and it's held quite a bit higher. So now if I go sit on the chair, we can see how much of a difference that makes to my personal ergonomics. So now my shoulder is much more relaxed. I don't feel like I'm reaching out as far, and this is much closer to the range of motion that's comfortable for my arms. I don't feel like I'm having to stretch anywhere, and I can have my humerus basically in line with my body, which is kind of the goal with keyboard placement and ergonomics in general. You want to be able to have your shoulders back, and this allows me to do that. Furthermore, if I do lean back, I can still reach the joysticks reasonably comfortably. This is where it started to get really bad, where it really felt like I was reaching out in front of me, but now it feels pretty good, actually. So I'm pretty happy with this. I'm going to do it to the other stick setup as well, and then I'll be good to go. With the joysticks in this new position, I have a much easier time being able to navigate in Star Citizen and fly ships with ease. In the background, you do actually hear Salty Mike and Croncy. I'm a big fan of Answer the Call, and if you guys don't watch that, you totally should, because it's one of the better podcasts for talking about Star Citizen development. And I'll just throw it on in the background, watch the podcast after the fact, and play my games. It's a good time. And now that my shoulders are comfortable, it doesn't hurt to play games too. So, you know, that's always kind of nice, right? Another thing I want to improve about my current chair setup, and this is a very specific problem to me, but because I am moving the chair back and forth in order to use either my joysticks or my mouse and keyboard, I find that the position of my microphone is very inconsistent, and that makes balancing my audio a bit difficult at times. So I've come up with a adapter block, that's this guy, that will mount to the back part of this rail here after I adjust the dimensions, apparently. And what that's going to do is it's going to interface with my microphone stand to hold this to the chair. You can kind of get an idea as to what we're going for here. I guess the dimensions for the beams that I used in Onshape are not the correct width, so I'll have to check on that. There must be something else going on here. Maybe I'm using a different profile. But basically this will make it so that the microphone will start here and go up and then back out in front of my face. And so I'll probably need to adjust my camera position as well, but this should make it so that the microphone is tethered to my position, which will make it so that the audio is more consistent when I switch between my two flight modes here. Okay, so fix the dimensions, and we can now see that it is installed here. Got the microphone arm that comes up. That goes all the way up to the Blue Yeti microphone that I've used for many years now. And in the next clip, I'll give a short demo of how that works. So if I was smart, I will have switched over to Premiere to use the raw audio from the microphone here. Maybe I'll do something clever and play the alternate versions here, because I've got the Rode microphone attached to the camera, and then I've got the Blue Yeti, obviously, so I should be able to actually play a mix of them to kind of show what the difference is. But as you can see here, right now you're straight off to my side, so the view is not that great, but it does put the microphone within a foot of my mouth, which is the ideal position for a microphone of this style. I can still access everything on the chair. So far, there's not too much hindrance to be able to do all the things I need. Let's tilt your view down a little bit. So there's about 3 inches between my arm and anything there. Like, I have to really kind of flare my arms out in order to hit this. So I can do everything that I need to with the joystick, and I'm not impeded by the microphone at all. And I can still tweak the position a little bit because it is still on its original mount. So if I figure out a position that I like better, I'm not precluded from being able to change things up a little bit. The other big benefit that this provides me is my face is now unobstructed from the perspective of my Tobii eye tracker. I was having some issues with the previous mounting position where, because it was about here in front of my face, it would sometimes obscure what the Tobii could see, and that would cause me to lose tracking or cause it to drift off course at some points. So now Tobii can see my eyes just fine, and I think that that's going to lead to more reliable tracking overall. You know, I've recorded this video over the course of several days. I wonder how many times I've changed my clothes in the process of making this video. Leave a comment down below if you figure out the number, and if you guess the number right, I'll give you 2 hearts on a comment. Wait. No, that won't work, because if I click the button twice, that'll just take it away. I don't know. I'll figure something else out. Next improvement I want to make to the chair is something very specific to me. I tend to kind of rest on my hands and adjust my weight like so. And when I'm doing that, I'm pushing down the armrests. And in order to get the joysticks positioned just the way I want them to, I've actually flipped the direction of my joysticks. I've flipped the direction of my armrests that they're kind of going towards the back. So in the furthest back position, they're actually pretty far back, like just the tip of my elbow rests on them. I do want them to stay forward a little bit. And so what I made is this little guy. And if you have a Monster Tech chair yourself, you can feel underneath the armrest, there's a little slot that this slides into. And let's see, let's try and do this next shot without making it appear lewd. So I don't like it to go forward and back like this. So all we do is we take this and slip it in the slot from underneath. And now it doesn't move. Now it's locked in place. And the cool part is the forces are acting along the longitudinal axis of that part. So even though the walls are quite thin, because they are solid all the way through, they should be pretty strong. So as with anything, I'll test it over time, see how it goes. But I'm pretty confident that this is going to work out pretty well. So very specific to me. I don't know that everybody will want it, but there you go. If you do, it's on my Onshape page, so you can download it and print it yourself.
Quick comment from the editing room here. This was the part that was most likely to fail, and it has been holding up wonderfully. So it's still there, still works great, and the armrests are so much better as a result.
And I suppose while I've got this angle set up, this is a good time to show off the next piece I've made. This is a cable guard for my VKB joysticks. If I flip these to the forward position, the thing that I get nervous about is this cable gets hit by my desk whenever I scoot forward. And I'm worried that I might damage that connector over time. So I've designed this piece to go over the front of the plate here, and then it will protect that cable. Now, in the mail, I've ordered a cable with a right angle plug. So it'll be the same thing, but instead of coming out of the head vertically, it'll come out this way. And so that will make it so it will sit on the plate more like this. That'll also get it out of the way. And the combination of the two should result in this being basically snugged up against the front of the joystick here, and there will be no more risk of damage to my components. I need to make this a little taller, so I'll work on a revision for that, because it's supposed to be clearing this little nubbin here, and it's not. But you can still kind of get the idea of what I'm going for, right? You get it. You can see it coming together. But hopefully in the next scene, I will have this figured out. For anybody keeping track at home, this is a new set of scrubs from the previous scene. So if you're keeping count, be sure to add a +1 there. I got the first bumper set up for my joystick, and I love it. No more knocking the cable into anything. And I got these, they're super cheap, but they're just a simple right angle plug for a USB-A type connector. The one problem is I really wanted it to go this way in the joystick, but instead it goes this way. So in order to get it to come out the way that I want it to, I then have to make it do a little curly cue like that, so that it comes down here. So let's see, maybe if I show it here, it'll be better. What's going on under the plastic, like I was saying, I wanted it to be like this so that it would be really easy routing. Unfortunately, I wasn't that lucky. So it's actually like this inside there. And because it's a USB-A connector, it is not ambidextrous or reversible like USB-C. This was before everybody wised up and realized that reversible connectors are much better. So instead what it's doing is it's doing this. But it's got plenty of room to do that in the plastic here. And the cool part is because this is here now, it's not going to get bumped by the front of the desk, which is the major thing that we were trying to fix. So I'm going to print a couple more doodads to route the cable to the USB hub. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And I think the last thing that I want to do for now, because my room is slowly getting messier as I keep doing these projects. So at some point I do need to stop and release the video before I do anything more. But I want to create some bumpers for this side, because this plastic piece on the rotary encoder here, and this plastic piece on the momentary switch. Those are a bit precarious in how they can also hit the front of the desk here. So I want to create something that affixes to these same screw points that we used on the other side that basically just prevents the desk from coming into this area. So it'll still keep the buttons plenty accessible for me, but not to the desk. And I think with that, we'll be pretty good for at least a while. I've still got lots of plans for things that I want to improve about the setup, but this will be enough to get me started and hopefully make a good video for you guys. All right, second half of this setup is hot off the printer. So we start by taking that one out, replacing it with the cable I showed you earlier. Which again, unfortunately goes out to the side like so. So that way instead of that way. Unfortunate, but not the end of the world. We're also going to replace this hardware with some more aesthetically pleasing black ones. You can see that there's actually a little bit of mild corrosion. Doesn't inhibit performance, it's just a fastener after all, but these were nice and shiny before. Now they've got a bit of a patina. And these two front screws get replaced with these black ones, which are the same diameter, but as you can see, quite a bit longer. That's to account for the extra thickness added by the red plastic piece. And this next part's going to be hard to see, so I'll show you what I'm doing. We add a washer to the screw, feed it through one of these screw holes in the bottom of the cover, and then it will go through these screws and the mounting plate, and then it will get another washer and a nut, and that will have a really good holding force and prevent anything from moving around. Now the trick here with the cable is you just want to roll it over in a Q shape and then drop it down through the cutout on the front of the VKB mounting plate. Now, I'm actually quite proud of this. You can see that I'm guiding the screws from the top. I left myself a little bit of an access hole so that I can get to the top of that screw with an Allen key. And carefully, I'm going to thread on a nut and a washer, or washer and a nut onto the bottom of the bolt here. Okay, now with those finger tight, we can grab the wrench, do things up proper. And now this side is protected too. Another benefit I've noticed is because I have such a much larger surface area, it makes it a lot easier to push this thing out of the way. Before, I was having to be really careful and kind of push on the edge of the corner plate so I wouldn't put any stress on the cable. But now, cable is completely protected from both my desk and myself. So that feels pretty good. Last thing I want to do for now is to add some cable guides and get this new cable properly routed. Turns out the bozo that's in charge of this camera didn't record that. So, this is the guard for the buttons that I designed. If we look at the front of the joystick here, still easy enough access to all these doodads here. But if you view it from the side, there's no way that it's going to get hit by the desk. So I am very happy with that. As for cable routing, which was actually quite the adventure because as it turns out, there's not a lot of great options for 80/20 aluminum extrusion cable routing clips. So I designed my own. I've got an extra one here. And the way that it works is it slides into the aluminum extrusion, as you'd imagine. But I've also incorporated this screw hole so that if you, for whatever reason, need just a little bit more holding power, you can put a 5mm screw through the top and then it will press against the bottom of the slot to sandwich the clip even harder against the sides of the extrusion. The way that it collects your cables is you just slide a Velcro strap through this slot all the way through, and then you close the Velcro on your cables. So here's an example. Here's the left side joystick cable. Just goes through a little bit of Velcro there. Let's see. Focus. There we go. Just goes through the little Velcro and then continues its way on down the line. So I've got two on the front, and then those come to this one on the back. This left side then goes through the chair and meets up with the USB hub on the other side. That USB hub is also pretty slick because I've created a custom plastic enclosure for it as well. And when I am seated on the chair, it has buttons that allow me to toggle the power to the sticks. So I've got the microphone and the two sticks routed through that USB hub. If we move down the line, and the USB hub goes down to this little collection area, and then all the cables together come out this unified loom here, which because of all the bulk that's been added to it, it stays pretty stiff, which keeps it out of the casters for the chair. I wish I had time to show you guys in a proper game, but for now, this will have to do. You can see this is the new microphone position. I've got the two guards on the joystick mounts. If I scoot forward, cable's now totally abuse-proof, which is really good, because these were kind of expensive and I don't want to break them. Likewise, the other guard on the other side, if I'm swinging around being careless, I'm not going to hit the expensive joysticks on my desk. With the cable routing on this other side, I need to be careful about which buttons I'm hitting, because when you've got Adobe Premiere open and you turn off your microphone, it really gets upset. But if I hit, let's see, turn this guy around so you can see it turn off. If I hit the bottom two switches, you can see this power light goes off and on and on and off. So really nice for being able to manage power to my joysticks. Some games that I play, particularly Battlefield, if you leave the joysticks plugged in, game does not want to work with you. So you have to unplug the joysticks. Well, I don't have to unplug them. I just hit the button and they're off. Problem solved. Another quick addition is this guy. This is just a
75% keyboard rest that I designed. A key thing about wrist ergonomics, and it's really funny because when you look at the more expensive keyboards, a lot of them will have some pretty severe angles to tilt your wrist up. Well, that's bad. That's putting a lot of stress on the carpal tunnel. You've got kind of a tunnel that's made here, hence carpal tunnel, and your tendons move through that. Well, you can imagine if you're hyperextending your wrist like this and then doing those same movements, that's putting a lot of extra strain on your tendons. So what you really want to do with your typing is you want to keep your wrists straight. So rather than hiking the keyboard up, which is bad for you, you want to get your wrist straight. Now, you don't actually want to plant your hands on a wrist like this. That's also not good. What you really ought to be doing is you should be levitating your wrist above the keyboard like so. But if my arms do get tired, which they will, putting gentle pressure like this is a lot less damaging than this. I know on camera it might not look like much, but boy, it does feel like a lot. So yeah, this is pretty good. One final demonstration of me using the sticks. With them in their new position, I have much easier reach to everything. And now I'm just kind of kicking myself for not doing this earlier. This is actually so much better. Some people might call this little black mark on the cable guard a blemish, but to me, that is the mark of success. Because every bit of black paint that this guard absorbs from my desk is an impact that the cable itself didn't have to absorb. So this shows that this thing is working, baby. Thanks for watching, guys. This was a really fun project, and I'm pretty happy with how the desk is looking so far. I've got a lot of plans for future projects, and we are not done with this chair yet. So if you liked what you saw, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things so that you don't miss future uploads. But until next time, this is Odd Job Entertainment, signing off.